What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're wrapping up the Bell Cup for this season and taking a look at its second best course at normal speed, Neo Bowser City at 150cc. On April 29, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 47.434 seconds by the French player Dragnier. Fast forward to nearly 4 months ago on February 27, 2022, and the record was brought down to 1 minute 42.571 seconds by the Spanish player Alberto. That's a 4.8 second improvement between records and a 4.5% faster time. Our former world record holder Dragnier has broken 23 world records across 5 unique runs and has spent an impressive 700 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Alberto has now broken over 800 world records across those same 68 unique runs and is approaching 1,500 days holding at least one of his now 36 current world records. At pre-release, this world record was barely under 150, but it would quickly enter the 148-47 territory, mostly thanks to Joel and Dragnier. Their little battle would result in Dragnier claiming the first 146 anyone ever saw. After taking it down a little further, Kamek stepped in to challenge him, and that battle would result in another second break by Dragnier as he grabbed this 145.9. Towards the end of 2017, Japanese player AK stepped in and took the course over for a short while. In February of 2018, he'd watched Fuyuhiro take a little over half a tenth off his best time, then both of them got to watch Omeimona dominate the course from that moment on. He dropped 16 consecutive records, which included the first 144 ever recorded. AK would step back in and ignite another intra-Japanese duel that would breed yet another second break as Ome came back for the 143.9 that stood as the world record for 181 days. A couple records later, Dragnier came back into the mix and dropped this 143.7. That became a 322-day world record before Alberto finally joined the party in early 2020 and basically owned the course from that moment on, all the way down to this 142.5, a whole 1.2 seconds faster than Dragnier's 2019 time. In total, the record was broken 105 times by only 12 different players. These loadouts are exactly what you'd expect from a player who set a world record in 2017 and one who set it in 2022. Dragnier goes with the classic combo of Dry Bowser driving the Streetle with the rollers and the Super Glider. Alberto goes with the mini meta of Baby Daisy driving the Biddy Buggy with the Azer rollers and the Paper Glider. We've definitely seen this matchup before. Obviously, Dragnier leads in the top speed stat by quite a lot, but for every action, there's an equal and opposite Alberto on the other side with the clear advantage in acceleration, handling, and mini turbo stats. He also has the slight edge over Dragnier in the grip stat, but the main point here is that max handling and mini turbo stats are going to enable him to do a lot of drift chaining here. Neo Bowser City has always been a very aesthetically pleasing course. It's got this Nintendo meets Ghost Runner vibe to it, which I like. The course layout is a lot like a clogged up circuit course that might sow more chaos than intended. At 200cc, the time trial is nuts, but even at 150cc, it's interesting to see how much racing lines play into getting a world record time. Let's dive into it. Dragnier hits the rocket start out of the gate before drifting around this second turn for the Super Mini Turbo and jump boost right after. He then goes for another Super Mini Turbo around the next turn and grabs 2 coins to close out S1. Alberto also hits the rocket start before sneaking in a quick Mini Turbo before that Super Mini Turbo around turn 2. He also grabs the jump boost, but carries the following drift out to an Ultra Mini Turbo to collect those same 2 coins to close out S1. With a loadout like this, it's really easy to fit in those extra mini turbos as well as charge up longer lasting ones around those same turns while being on world record pace. Alberto took early advantage of that as he sits ahead by over a tenth of a second going into S2. Dragnier grabs the Super Mini Turbo around this turn before chaining a normal, then another Super Mini Turbo to that through these next few turns. He rides down this short stretch before charging up another Super Mini Turbo around the next turn to close out the section. Alberto goes around that next turn for the Ultra Mini Turbo, then hops around a bit to realign himself for that next Super Mini Turbo. He fits in a quick normal Mini Turbo down this back straight before charging that same Super Mini Turbo around the final turn of S2. Obviously, those mini turbos definitely helped build his lead, but we can't overlook the more optimized racing line from Alberto. His slightly tighter turns allow him to quietly build his lead over the course of each section. He's up on Dragnir by over 0.6 of a second going into S3. Dragnir goes wide for the Super Mini Turbo and 4 more coins before chaining an Ultra Mini Turbo around this longer turn. He'll close out the lap by using his first mushroom to cut out the entire last turn and get the Ultra Mini Turbo on his way to the glider, where he'll trick off of it and fly on down to the finish line. Alberto also goes wide for the 4 coins but gets the Ultra Mini Turbo instead. He too chains that with another Ultra Mini Turbo around this long turn. After quickly realigning, Alberto gets this quick mini turbo before starting the drift that he'll carry through that same shortcut for the Ultra Mini Turbo. Right after that, he chains a quick normal mini turbo off the glider ramp for another over-the-top example of motion glider to close out lap 1. We'll definitely break that down on lap 2, but after one lap, we see that Alberto is going to drop Dragonir off with longer lasting mini turbos, better lines, and a motion glider. That's pretty much the trifecta of 8 Deluxe time trials these days. Alberto sits ahead by over 1.6 seconds after one lap. Dragonir starts off lap 2 with that same tight drift around turn 2 for the Super Mini Turbo, followed by a quick jump boost. Now into this tunnel, he'll grab another Super Mini Turbo to close out S1. Alberto starts off the lap with that quick mini turbo before chaining the Super one after that around the next turn. At that point, he'll hit a jump boost and get the Ultra Mini Turbo around the following turn to end the section. Nothing too different here from either racer other than the slighter tightly lines they took due to there being no more coins to collect. The lead for Alberto now sits at 1.8 seconds at the end of S1. Let's put these both side by side so we can see how much faster Alberto is here. Both players chain a few mini turbos through these next 2 turns and then eventually make their way down this short stretch into another Super Mini Turbo around the final turn. If you were wondering how much faster Alberto was here, take a look at the lead gain through S2. Alberto was well over half a second faster than Dragnir, and he has tighter lines and longer lasting mini turbos to thank for that. S2 is really only about 10 to 11 seconds of driving at 150cc, so the fact that Alberto was able to do that over half a second faster is pretty amazing. He's up on Dragnir now by over 2.4 seconds at the end of S2. Through S3, Dragnir hugs the inside of that first turn for the Super Mini Turbo, then chains the Ultra Mini Turbo around the next turn to that. Next, he'll ride straight down to the start of this turn and start drifting into that same mushroom cut for the Ultra Mini Turbo. He closes out the lap with a trick off the glider and a short flight back down to the road. Alberto also hugs the inside of that first turn for a Super Mini Turbo, then chains the Ultra one right after that. Now on a better line, he sets himself up for that shortcut with the normal Mini Turbo, then charges up the Ultra one as he uses his mushroom. Let's pause right here so we can break down this motion glider. It's pretty straightforward. A quick drift chained to that Ultra Mini Turbo off the glider results in a small boost that gets leveraged by the motion glider. Alberto flicks his controller to fling himself back onto the line and gets a faster glide along with better air handling all the way up to the finish line, where he's up on Dragnir by over 3.2 seconds after outsplitting his lap by 1.6 seconds. To close out the race, Dragnir grabs that first Super Mini Turbo and jump boost before chaining another Super Mini Turbo to that as he makes his way through S1. Fresh off another Super Mini Turbo into S2, he chains a normal, then Super Mini Turbo to that before grabbing another Super Mini Turbo around this next turn to close out S2. Into S3, it's more Super and Ultra Mini Turbos through these first few turns, then Dragnir sets himself up for one last Mushroom Cut and Ultra Mini Turbo. One trick off the glider later, and he's now flying across the small gap and approaches the finish line. Alberto replicates his lap 2 approach as well. That starts with a few mini turbos, then a jump boost, then he chains 2 Ultra Mini Turbos together through the end of S1 and the start of S2. After hopping around a bit through this S-turn, he chains a few more mini turbos to close out S2. He continues that drift chain into S3 with a Super, then Ultra one before realigning and grabbing this first quick mini turbo as he prepares to hit the shortcut. He'll use his last mushroom to make the cut for that Ultra Mini Turbo and motion gliders his way off the ramp and flies right to the finish line. He'd end up posting a time that was 4.8 seconds faster than Dragnir's former world record. So by grabbing more longer lasting mini turbos, staying on a much better line all throughout, and motion glider, Alberto was able to cap off his 13th consecutive record on this course. In that span alone, he's taken nearly 0.6 of a second off his initial 143.1, and even before that, he's improved on his first ever record on this course by over 1.1 seconds. You gotta wonder, how much faster can this record get if these are the types of improvements we're accustomed to seeing? To answer the question from a few seconds ago, not much faster. The The best known splits for this run show quite clearly that this record is pretty well optimized thanks to Alberto. He solely owns the best known sum time, and none of his world record laps are more than 4 frames away from any best known split. His opening and closing laps could each be around a quarter of a tenth of a second faster, while his lap 2 has exactly half a tenth of a second that could be knocked off. Since Alberto has owned this course for so long, I wouldn't bet that anyone else is going to come close to knocking off that extra tenth of a second for a faster world record. The worldwide top 10 consists of 7 national and 4 continental record holders. Alberto sits at the top, his French rival Army rounds out the 142s in second, and Australian record holder Panda is down there in third. Asian record holder Shira is fourth on this board, and over a tenth behind him is Australian player Byron to round out the top 5. The 6th through 8th place spots belong to Velocity, Dragnir, and Noah, who all share 2 100ths of a second in separation. Just a few hundredths off that is Braden in 9th, and Japanese player Axel rounds out the top 10 over a second back from world record. Here's another example where Alberto is on the top of a leaderboard by over 2/10 of a second. Yet another instance of a world record being double strong, if you paid attention. Bottom line, Alberto has optimized this record so well that his competitors can't even scratch the surface of where he's at. I'd bet this record becomes one of those 200, 250 day world records before Alberto steps back up and goes for that 0.4 that's just within reach. That's all for episode 78. Hope you found it interesting. We're 2 episodes away from capping off season 8, and they're going to be good ones, so be sure to stay tuned for the next few weeks. If you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends, and comment on which course you'd like me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.